to Michael's Beauty Tips. I just wanted to thank you all for watching, and let's get started. So today's topic is fragrances. Now, fragrances can do a big difference when you're around someone you like or the person you've been with for such a long time. Fragrances do release certain, emotions or attractions from the opposite person that's receiving the smell. Now, what fragrances do, they enhance a hormone in your body called pheromones, and pheromones are your own natural body odor. And what the fragrance does is enhances your natural body odor as well as applying the scent from the fragrance. Now, I have about 7 fragrances that I always use for, specific, occasions or, just everyday things. And I'm going to show you which ones are appropriate for certain situations. So most of my fragrances come from the Britney Spears fragrance collection. I tend to have this addiction with celebrity fragrances, and I think all of her fragrances smell really, really good. So yeah. Okay, so the one I tend to always use, no matter day or night, is my personal favorite from Britney's fragrance collection, is Midnight Fantasy. Now, Midnight Fantasy is this really cool blue, purplish bottle with silver crystals on it, and it's a very warm, sweet smell. I tend to correspond it with winter because it smells very sweet, very warm, blueberry-ish, kind of cupcake, blueberry muffins in a way. But I think it works for any time of the year, but it's mainly best for nighttime, hence the name Midnight Fantasy. So it's really good, and I think it's more for the subtle kind of sexy girl, the one who doesn't come off so like, oh yes, look at my vagina kind of girl. You get what I mean. So yeah, there's that. And then the next fragrance I have is Hidden Fantasy. Now, Hidden Fantasy is definitely a wintertime fragrance. It smells a lot like spices and warm desserts. It's not as sweet because it has some citrus notes into it. It has orange as one of the top notes, but it also has cinnamon and Neapolitan cake and some sort of spice that I don't really know the name of. I don't give a fuck. So yeah, this one's definitely good for November and December time, and it could be all day, any time of the day. It's called Hidden Fantasy because I believe there's something in there that you just can't quite grasp what the smell is, which I think is a spice that I couldn't think of the name of, so whatever. And when you first spray it, it smells like an old lady scent. You know how old women tend to smell like powder because they're so saggy and slimy and so gross that they need to put powder so that they prevent from sweating and perspiration on the body. So yeah. But once it sets on your skin, well, personally, when it sets on my skin, it tends to smell really good and the scent completely changes, which I think why it's called Hidden Fantasy, because you get a fucking surprise once it's set on your skin for a good hour or two. So Hidden Fantasy by Britney Spears, Midnight Fantasy by Britney Spears. It's all part of the Fantasy collection. Now, the next scent I like to use, but I rarely use it because I've kind of gotten over the whole smell of it, is the original Classic Fantasy. This one is more oh, I'm from middle school, I am discovering who I am, so I might as well just wear the typical lame, boring fantasy because I don't have sex and I get no dick in my life, so there you go. This one just smells like cupcakes and bananas and raspberry, I would want to say. It's very sweet, but I think it's the most basic out of all the fantasies. I think the best one's Midnight Fantasy, which is why it's my favorite. So yeah, this one's cute. This one's more for just going to school or going to work. Unless you're working at a business firm, then I have another one that's more for business office. This one's more for working at Forever 21 or something, lame bitch stuff. So yeah. The next fragrance is outside of the Fantasy collection, and it's one of her limited edition fragrances. It's the limited edition from her first fragrance, which was Curious. This one's called In Control Curious. Now, this one's my second favorite because it can be used for anything. It's not as, specific for a type of occasion or time of day. I tend to use it when I don't feel like smelling so strong, but it does smell really good and people can notice it on you. In Control Curious, I bought this one at a, one of those cheap fragrance stores, and it didn't even come with a top, and I was pretty mad because I'm oh my god, I finally found one of her limited edition fragrances, and it didn't come with a top. because on the ad it comes with the spray, you know, this thing that you squeeze to let the fragrance come out. And I was expecting that. I was like, oh my god, it's gonna come out with one of those classic, you know, aroma sprayers, and it just came like this. Like, seriously, no wonder it was 20 bucks. So this one's more of a very strong vanilla smell with like creme brulee. Creme brulee is listed as one of the top notes, but it's very vanilla-y. Now, if you like very vanilla, creamy kind of scent, this one's definitely a good one. I love it. It smells so good, and it kind of lasts kind of a long time. So I really like it. This one's definitely for like, you know, like a very innocent girl and very like, oh hey, my vagina's still, you know, very tight and don't break down the walls yet. I'm wearing vanilla. So yeah, vanilla's a very innocent kind of scent. The next one is a more mature scent, and it's one I use for very special occasions, like if I'm going to a really nice party or if I'm just feeling really sexy. This one's called Cosmic Radiance. It's the spin-off of her original Just Radiance. I think this one smells better than the original Radiance, and it smells a lot like Viva La Juicy by Juicy Couture. So if you want like a cheaper version of Viva La Juicy, Cosmic Radiance is definitely your choice. It smells just like it, I'm telling you. This one's a very sophisticated, older woman kind of smell. I think it smells amazing, and the way it sets on your skin and your clothes, like every time I spray it on myself, I just imagine like I'm on a commercial for like Revlon, or like, you know, one of those commercials where you just see the girl like just like, you know? That's what I feel like when I put this one on, and it's very sexy, and it's definitely for like a date night with like a Mr. Big or like a fucking big black guy with a big dick. So yeah, definitely that's the one for that. This last one of the Britney Spears collection is called Island Fantasy, and it's one of her newest ones that just came out last spring. It's a very fresh, citrusy smell. I think it's one of the ones that's not as sweet. It's still sweet, but it's very fresh. My mom actually liked it because my mom hates sweet scents, but she was like, oh my god, this one smells really good. I think I want to get it. This one's definitely for the summer, and it's more like for like, you know, going out to the beach or like out on the town shopping in a beachy area. It smells very... One of the notes is watermelon, but I don't really smell watermelon in it. Very fresh, very, very fresh. It's not overwhelming at all. And if you're the type of person that doesn't like overwhelming fragrances, Island Fantasy is definitely it. And I think the bottle is so pretty. It's like gradient, so cute, and kind of makes me want to have an orgasm when I smell it. Now, the last perfume is one I've only worn like maybe every 3 times a year. And it's not Britney Spears. It's actually Lady Gaga's Fame. And it's the one that's the black liquid that sprays on clear. So this one is a very powdery smell, and it's a very winter smell. It smells like blackberries, and it's very warm, and I think it's more for like an expensive, kind of sophisticated woman. This one I think should be, you know, sprayed on yourself very, very wisely, and the type of occasion you're like a very nice dinner at a very classy restaurant. This would go great with it. But I think one spray, honestly, is enough because it can be really overwhelming. Like, there have been times where I've put like 3 sprays on my neck, down here, and on my arm, and I would be walking, and as I'm walking, the scent tends to go into my mouth, and it's pretty gross when you have perfume in your mouth. I mean, Will Ferrell taught us that in the movie Elf. So I think 1 spray is good enough. Or if you're going to do a second spray, make sure it's far away from the first spray that you put. So yeah, so that's my fragrance collection I have. I hope it helped. This is my first video doing beauty tips, so you know, that's all I can really elaborate on. I'm like a huge fragrance freak, and I tend to collect them a lot. So yeah, so fragrances do help a lot when you're in a relationship or trying to get the attention from someone that you admire. Because, you know, when you smell good, people want to fuck you, TBH. So, and I love being complimented on the way I smell. I think it's one of the compliments I think I get so wet over. So, definitely fragrances are good. And Britney Spears' fragrance collection never does wrong. They all smell amazing, and it just depends on your, you know, your taste. If you like fresh, I would go with the Island Fantasy. If you're more of a sweet, creamy person like I am, the rest of her collection is totally gonna, you know, please you, and you're gonna fall in love with it. So yeah, so that's my beauty tips for today, and thanks for watching Michael's Beauty Tips, and I'll see you next time for makeup tips. Bye! See, I just sprayed it and I already feel like taking my shirt off and just